The post render function in Vizrt 4.0 allows you to render out video files and or image sequences. So to find the post render button, we just need to come up to the main menu and click on post, and it opens a whole new interface. Now before that, we want to go back into the default workspace here, and we're just going to load up a scene that we have. So we just have a quick lower third graphic here, and you can see that it animates on with the lower third. It has a title and subtitle and a little logo. If we press the key button here, we can see that it also has a key channel. Now we want to render this out as an AVI file and or maybe a TIFF sequence or PNG sequence to carry that alpha channel. So I'm going to leave the scene loaded, and I'm going to go ahead and click on the post button here, and I'm going to go ahead and set up the scene to render. Now just to make sure, the scene should be loaded up here in the lower right window, but we're just going to go ahead and drag this into our middle box here to make sure that it's active. So I have the scene loaded, and it gives us this little thumbnail or icon to let us know that the scene is now in there. We have below that an offset, which is set to 0 by default. We can change that. So the offset is used in case we're rendering two scenes together. We can offset one scene here, or have this scene start at 0 and then offset this scene a couple of seconds if we need to as well. For this particular case, we're just going to go ahead and render out the lower third and not the background. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off by clicking the inactive button there. Below that, we have a stop or seconds. So we can tell this animation to pause a couple of seconds if we have a stop point in our scene. So if I go back into our scene here and play it real quick, you'll see that we do have a stop point. So I hit play, it comes on and it stops there, and it does not go off until I hit continue until it goes off. So that means we have a stop point in there, and I'm going to come in here and tell it within the post render scene how many seconds I want it to pause in that stop. So let's just go ahead and increase this. We'll type in 5 seconds. Below that, we have the actual renderer that we want to use. In this case, we're going to render out an AVI file. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that up there. And you can see when I drag this AVI renderer plugin in there that it also made active another box here on the right. So this gives us our available codecs with the AVI plugin. We can choose an uncompressed, a DV encoder, or an MPEG compressor. Also, we need to consider the alpha channel in this. So if we want to take the alpha channel with us, we want to make sure that we want to render the RGBA or RGBAA. We also have a format here that we can choose: full frame interlaced top, full frame interlaced bottom. Below that, we have the option of where it's going to render it. And quick tip, if you just roll your mouse over here, it actually tells you where the current or default setting is for it to render right here. So you can choose your own path there. There's a duration, which means how many seconds. So you need to calculate how many seconds you'll want this to render. We'll go ahead and just type in 500. Below that, we have the width and the height, 1920 by 1080. We can lock it, scale it, or unlock it and render out any size that we want. Now we also have templates over here, and you can see I have one template listed. So if I know I'm going to keep rendering out things in the post process, and I don't want to have to keep setting up these post render settings, I can save this template right here by hitting save as, and we can give it a name, AVI template. We'll hit OK, and it now lists it in our template section. So if I wanted to go ahead and quickly change this from an AVI render to a PNG, I already have a PNG template set up. I can just double click it and it will send that information over to here. Now let's change it back to the AVI template. So it's now going to render out as an AVI. Last step here is to hit the record button, and I'm going to go ahead and hit record, and you can see that it's now writing the fields for this animation. All right, it's all done. If we go into our folders here where it rendered that, and we can just go ahead and click it and play it, and you can see that it now rendered out our lower third graphic here. So that's how you render out a scene into an AVI graphic.